Hi, this is my Module 15 case study, and I'm going to kind of just go through this briefly and highlight some of the things that were on my slides. So to kind of start, Section 1 is talking about Mr. Rhodes, who is the principal at the high school, and he has asked about the attendance concerns and what to do with the protocol, specifically asked the superintendent. To kind of give you background information about this school, we have a lot of students in the middle income with their families. We've had a lot of families move in that have made the community in school a little bit more diverse than what it began. This school does have a history of being very football oriented. With all the extracurricular activities, football is definitely the most popular among the community members. With that also being said, most of the community members that are parents of the students commute. This is kind of like a metropolitan. They drive like 2 hours or so to work, or they own their own businesses, so they're just very busy. So the principal was looking at the attendance rates for the students within the school and noticed 5 specific students that had very low attendance within the first semester. The reasoning for all of these students did come from family members, community members, and school staff did approve it. So we're going to kind of get into what specifically was happening. Sorry, I'm going to try and not cover this up too much, but anyways, the section 1 is talking about the different students. So first off, we have Karen. Karen was an above average student. She had mostly A's and B's. She was a member, and her sophomore year she joined NHS, so National Honor Society. I believe she is a junior now, and she recently got married I think in August before the school year started. So there's a concern on its own. Now we have Tyrone, who's also an honors student. So far, he has missed 2 full weeks of school. They totaled that up to 14 days. These were due to his family members. Excuse me. His mom and dad both wrote notes for him to take to school so he could miss a week at a time within the first semester. Both trips were used as educational reasons. One was because he'd never been to Canada before, and the other one they were going to visit museums. So that, just all of these we'll talk kind of about later. Christina is a freshman. Her church-related school activity, I think her minister asked if she could miss school and sent a note in. So we kind of need to review that, as well as Carl. He's a 10th grade boy. He's one of the vocational students that is at the school for like morning, and then in the afternoon he's bused to the vocational setting. I believe it's some kind of technical career. And then John is the quarterback of the high school football team, and his absences are due to his personal his therapy time that he has to go to 3 times a week that the AD has excused him to go. Section 2 is talking about legal and ethical decisions. So first off, we're just going to kind of start how the school personnel is enforcing the attendance rate. I know just within my own school and then my own high school that most of our staff was on the same page. I know that some of these people are retiring soon, so they may just kind of be flying day by day trying to get through. But some of these things are being excused. Some of them I could see being excused maybe the first time, and then afterwards it should have been brought to someone's attention. They've been marked as excused, but they really should be unexcused. And then the students, for their reasoning, all 5 students that could be avoided. The things that are happening, sometimes school does take precedence, so you can't just go on vacation for that, or those reasons should be unexcused, which then would bring in truancy and having an officer come and the court system getting involved. So the AD is also kind of favoring the student, John specifically, who's our football boy. He signed off on his therapy time, and that could be discrimination towards other students, really, just because you're favoring your high school quarterback and you're not doing that for someone else that's not in a sport. Also, just throwing that out there, Karen is married in high school. Like I said, I think she's a junior. So there's an ethical issue, school-related, home-related in itself. As for Section 3, school board policies are not being followed by all school personnel. It's kind of like other people's opinions and beliefs are taking over on this. So the school officials are biased and unethical when approving student absences. For instance, the AD, also the homeroom teachers that are just like with the minister signing off on the 1 day or however long she needed to be gone. In section 4, we're talking about the known facts and the unknown facts of the case study. So, for this specific case study, we know that there are teachers, principals, the AD, families, and students that are all involved. This is not something that is just between a student and a teacher. This is something that truly does, it even relates to the community members because when we get to that, even the vocational, where he's going to a different business, as well as your high school football team. Like if the community has been going to these games, regardless of if they have kids that are playing or not. So then we also need to know the unknown factors would be how has this, why has a whole entire semester gone by and we're just now addressing these absences? This should be something that they should be staying on top of every week. There should be an absence report. Students and families' backgrounds. So, what are their means for the absences? If you have a legit concern for students, that can be excused, but some of these reasons are just being bypassed by their teachers. Did the school counselor meet with specific students? One of the things in our background report said that the counselor is supposed to be meeting, especially with Karen, who had been married. But there were other concerns that counselors really should be talking about with students. Are the counselors, in fact, doing that? Such as a marriage in high school, different trips, or health concerns. And also, how are these being approved? Why are they being signed off on? Why is no one in the administration or the even the office, the secretaries who kind of handle absences, why is this just being passed by? And then also validating that it was in fact a church meeting. That one seemed very iffy for me because I don't know. I'm not really sure of any kind of religion or church that would require a student to be taken from school during the school day for a church-affiliated activity. In Section 5, we're talking about the different actions that could be taken for school and stakeholders. So, for instance, if I were to take a step as the school principal, would I be hurting these different people within the school and within the community? So, first off, with the minister, yes, I would that could definitely hurt his reputation with the school. If he's signing off on absences that are not valid, that could hurt him and his congregation or his church, whatever kind of affiliation. Also, with Karen being married, could I hurt her family's reputation? Maybe Karen was or is a really good student, and she decided to do this with her husband now. Her family does not approve. This could just come back and bite her family and their reputation as well, as this is a big struggle for Karen. She hasn't struggled through high school since she's been married, and now that she has, there's issues that are arising. Does Carl, in fact, have an illness? Is this a legitimate illness? Is it something that could hurt his reputation as well, hurt his family? Maybe you're bringing out something that wasn't meant to be surfaced. Then there's Tyrone. My first thought with Tyrone was, is he a good student but doesn't make good decisions, whereas his parents cannot leave him home alone? It seems that, yes, you could take a child out of the country, you could take a child to go see these museums because they've never done that before, but it's also a little bit concerning where you're taking a student out of high school to go do this. Yes, he is making up the work that he did not get to, but is there a reason he can't be left home alone during these 2 times that his parents have been gone? The community presence with the football team and John, obviously that could hurt the whole school, the football team, that could hurt John's reputation, his confidence, if we put this out that he's been missing this for personal therapy during the school day. Yes, doctor's appointments can a lot of the times be excused, but 3 times a week for this is not a valid reason. Then also it could hurt the school and the staff. If this got back where certain staff members were approving this and they shouldn't have been, this could hurt the school and their reputation. As for who we consult, this is all the stakeholders involved. So that would be the district board, the ADs, students, staff, families, community members, as well as bringing in your district's attorney. This is something that when you're addressing all of this, especially with the community and students as families, you'd probably want to have an attorney there just to ensure everything is ethical and legal. As for the information that we still need, how old are all of these students? Obviously, you can have a student that is a freshman in high school that is 2 years older than what an average freshman would be. So just kind of looking at that, especially with Karen being a junior in high school, how old is she that she's married? How is that something that was that slid on by? The CASHA bylaws and violations, this is something that you need to be checking on this to make sure, especially with the student sports. And then the parents and their own specific legal rights. This one, sorry. This is section 6, and it's kind of talking about what are the different options that we can kind of pursue. So to start off, you could just ignore these behaviors and let them continue. There are principals out there that I know would do that, especially with their football team. If they've been to state how many years in a row, they don't want to jeopardize that, or at least don't want to jeopardize it in the first semester, so nothing's revoked. So there's an option. Not the best, not a very good option at all. You could also meet with the AD and counselor separately to address all the concerns and issues with the student attendance. The consequences of that could be that you could ruin your relationship with the school's AD and the school's counselor. It could leave you high and dry trying to find someone to fill those positions if they quit. It's also that they could do something to kind of retaliate. You also need to include the truant officers for students, how the court system can and will be involved if this continues, and making sure to kind of tell the parents that right away. This will probably anger parents, especially like I'm thinking of Tyrone's, how they excused him for a valid reason, but that's 14 days in the first semester. So including those and telling them how the court system will work. Then reporting Karen's situation with the police and how her consequences could be met as well. And these consequences may lead to issues with families and students, but it's something that needs to be addressed. As for section 7, I'm just going to brush through this. Understanding the families and students. So you need to know their backgrounds and how you can categorize what their backgrounds with attendance rates and percentages can go to. So for instance, for her religious activity, how many times has this happened in the past? Where would I categorize a religious activity? Is that excused, non-excused? Does the note matter? Things like that. You also need to make sure your superintendent is kept within the loop and they are mandating that school-wide policy is followed regardless of student athletes. So that means any administrator in the building, AD, principal, vice principal, anything, counselors need to be following the protocol. I'm going to kind of go to section 8, my best options. So obviously you need support from your school staff and your superintendent. So making sure that all policies and protocols are being put into place and the standards are being followed. Also making sure to tell all involved stakeholders that these standards are in place because of the Kansas bylaws and rules for schools. After doing this, a school-wide staff meeting, even a board office meeting where you have those where community members can be involved, making sure to tell them that this is the protocol from here on out. This is what's going to be followed. Here are the expectations if students and staff do not follow these, etc. And making sure my own best option would be to make sure to cover this from day one, even before the students come into the high school or when they come back for the summer, making sure that you know what specific students have had issues with absences and try and nip that in the butt before the school year starts or between the first couple weeks of school. By Christmas break, you should not be surprised at the absences you have. You should be aware every week. Section 9, which is the last section I'm going to kind of talk about. This is about how I'm going to properly implement this into my school. So all staff will work with students regarding missed work and missed class time. You're not just signing off on a note and saying you can come find me at the end of the day to get your stuff. It is the staff member's responsibility to assign the missing work and stay on top of the students. Now, obviously, you expect the students to have responsibility enough to do this, but if you want things to be done, it is part of your duty to ensure students are getting their work and getting it done and getting it turned in if they miss their class time. Also, utilizing the school resource officer in the court system. Don't be afraid to come to, I would not be afraid to say, your student has missed this many days, the court system is going to get involved regarding your truant student and addressing those concerns right there, rather than wait until the end of the semester. And then lastly, support from all involved stakeholders. Having people support and having them all on board and on the same page is essential to having like a successful school. If you can have a relationship with them and you can have support from them, a lot of the times they will be willing to work with you. That concludes my Module 15. Thank you for watching.